Good morning, friends. Jill here. Welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. I have my warm cup of coffee and my jacket on because it feels amazing. It is officially the first day of fall here and it's 53 degrees. This is my kind of weather. I absolutely love the cooler weather. It literally, as soon as the weather shifts, my attitude shifts. And I become so incredibly happy all the time because I love going outside and not just sweating my butt off. Honestly, when you do a lot of things outside, it is nice to have enjoyable weather. So I got up extra early this morning. I knew the cool front was coming. And Nathan was like, why did you wake up at 5 o'clock? I was like, I just wanted to go outside. So here I am hanging out with you guys. I do need to harvest some beans today, and I was gonna do morning chores and take you guys with me and have a good old-fashioned vlog today. So I hope you guys have your warm cup of your preference and you guys can enjoy. So we have had a lot of rain the last 2 or 3 days. Pretty big storms, lots of rainfall. And I can tell you that the garden appreciated it. I appreciated it. I was kind of forced to stay inside for a few days and get some things done. But I wanted to show you guys my radishes because they have popped up like crazy. Also my carrots, which I really need to go through and start thinning out this week. With carrots, I usually just heavily seed them and then thin out because I just find it is the best. You can get like pelleted carrot seed to where it's not as tiny and it's a lot easier to seed. However, I didn't have any of those. So I was just working with what I had. But the Greenstalk, so you guys saw like right after I had planted it. And you guys, it's crazy when you give plants what they need, just how much they thrive. So just by giving my plants that extra soil and that room to grow and the rain and, you know, I added in that really, really good soil, my Greenstalk is crazy. I mean, check out this bad boy. I think the chard has grown so much. All of my lettuce, I mean, I can seriously come out and start harvesting this. It's looking so good, super full. I mean, look at this chard. I have been seeing a lot of grasshoppers, which is what this damage is for. Grasshoppers I struggle with every year. Primarily on my beans is what I struggle with grasshoppers. But overall, I think that it's all looking really good. It's growing a whole lot. Look at that. It really does make me so happy to see this Greenstalk so full and lush. I had mentioned last year that I thought about putting one of these in our heated greenhouse just to see how long I could push the limits and grow salad greens. And that may actually be something I experiment with this year. I don't know. The reason I didn't do it last year is time. The time got away from me and my soil wasn't great and I knew I needed to replace it. So doing all those things, I just never got around to doing it. But I do think it'd be fun to kind of do that and just experiment with it and see how long I could get salad greens throughout the winter. I could not resist getting out here in the garden this early. All right, guys, do you see all these beans? I mean, this is insane. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is 4 plants that I have here behind me. And we just go from the end of the trellis to about not even halfway down the trellis. And there is literally beans galore. Look at that. So these behind me are the purple potted beans. Jessica had actually planted these for me before she left, and so by the time we got here they were these little bitty starts. They're beautiful. I absolutely love them. I think for me, I mention a lot how I appreciate the aesthetic of the garden. these do taste really good, but I love coming out here and seeing color. And so seeing purple hanging on the vine, I absolutely love. So I will always grow purple potted beans for that particular reason. And then over here behind me, we have the rattlesnake beans. Some of these have gotten too big. I honestly just didn't realize like how many beans were out here. But you guys can see they're this really pretty green bean, but then they have these purple markings and streaks on them. They are very, very pretty. They taste really, really good. And so I've got quite a bit of picking to do. After I do morning chores, I'm going to come out here and harvest a bunch of them because some of them are getting bigger than what we prefer. So like that one, here's a nice little comparison. That's a really, really big bean. We don't prefer to eat them when they're that big. We will. We definitely will, but when they get this size, usually I just keep them on the vine and let them dry and save them for seeds. I don't actually have any more of this variety, and so I am actually going to be leaving a few of these on here to save the seeds for, but my plan with all of the beans is to can them. So beans are one of those things that they're really easy to put up, and if you're diving into this homesteading lifestyle, this gardening lifestyle, and your goal is to put up and preserve food, I really want to encourage you to grow beans because one, they're super easy to grow. They're really, really pretty on a trellis, but then they are also easy on how you can put them up. There's a lot of different options. So you can freeze them, which is probably the easiest option in my opinion. You can do water bath canning, which is also relatively easy. And then you can do pressure canning. I have done all three, and honestly, which one I do is dependent on how crazy our season is and what all I have going on. If we're like really busy and I just don't have a lot of time, I am just throwing these babies in the freezer, and that's what's happening. Now, ideally, I prefer to pressure can them because they're gonna last longer and they taste a lot better. And literally all it is salt and water. And so that may actually be something later this week if I have enough and I have the time that I walk you guys through that process. But I will tell you one thing I love having as a gardener and a homesteader and someone who enjoys preserving their food is a pressure canner. Nathan bought me one, I think either for my birthday or Christmas, and it was literally like schoolgirl giddy, okay? I was so excited. I've been wanting one of these for so long. He brought me a pressure canner and a Dutch oven, and to this day, I still use those religiously. It's like one of those, what does a homesteader need in their arsenal? I don't know about the Dutch oven. I don't know how necessary that is, but the pressure canner for sure is. And so beans are one of those things that are just super easy. It's 53 degrees. Pretty cold this morning, and my beans are still doing great. They will do great until the frost, and even then they can withstand a light frost, and that has just been in my experience. I've had some flexibility with the frost on my green beans, especially if they were established to begin with. But I do want to show you guys my radishes. It's always crazy to me just how fast radishes grow. Like, I preach grow radishes all the time because they're such an easy crop. They're such a quick crop. But then when I actually plant them, I'm like, whoa, you did that in that amount of time? I'm always super impressed. So I just planted these, I mean, honestly, probably 15, 16 days ago. Look how big they are. We're gonna pull back the soil and see if we've got anything. I have had the hardest time with my carrots. I have the hardest time with my carrots every single year. I'm not really sure what I do wrong. I've tried every tip and trick that has been given to me from the internet, from friends. I've done it all. I've always struggled. But I do have some carrots coming up over here, which I will show you guys as well. I am open to more suggestions. The one year that I had the best carrot harvest I've ever had, I literally went out there with like 3 different packs of seeds and I just threw them all about like crazy. I didn't do rows, which is not efficient, which is not something I'm gonna tell you to do, right? But I went out there, I just threw them all and I watered them in like crazy every single day religiously. And I had carrots pop up everywhere. And I don't know, maybe the reckless wild side of me needs to come back and I just need to do that because for the last few years I've just been doing these perfect little rows, you know, spaced apart the way the seed packet says, and I'm just having a really crummy time My carrot seeds were pretty old though, so I'm thinking that's it. Seeds don't really go bad. You know, you don't hear that, even though there'll be like a lot date or something on the back of your seed packet. That certainly does not mean that your seeds are bad. However, I have had this packet of seeds for years and years and years, and what happens is your seed doesn't go bad, but if not stored correctly and properly, the germination rate can go down. And so I'm assuming that that's just what they were. I had these particular seeds out in my old herb room, so it was not heated and cooled, it was just getting hot, which if you want like the longevity of your seeds, they'll tell you to store in a cool, dark place. Some people even put them in their fridge or the refrigerator. I don't have enough room for that because my seed collection is a little wild. But that's what I'm chalking it up to, is because all the ones that popped up over here were newer seeds, and then all the ones I planted in these other rows over here were older seed. And so I'm thinking that maybe just my germination rate was low. And what I'll do is, because I like to push the limits on when you can and can't sow things, I'll probably hop online this week, order some more carrot seeds, go a little reckless, throw them in the garden, and water them in really well and just see what happens. This was supposed to be come and have you guys do chores with me. And in true Jill fashion, I got sidetracked by the garden once again. Alright, let's pull the soil back and see. So these are the daikon radish. These were the only radishes that I planted. Oh yeah, they just size up really nicely. What we're using them for is we are going to be fermenting them. I find that they taste the best fermented, they do the best. They get really, really big and they don't become woody. You'll notice that like when your radishes start to get too big, they taste woody, and some varieties are meant to get bigger and, you know, oblong, while some are just these cute little petite ones. But the daikon just do really well, and I can really push my limits with them in the summertime and the spring when I grow them, because they can get really big and it can be really hot, and they still just don't have that spicy taste, which is another thing that happens when radishes, you plant them in a really hot time of year, and then they just don't taste woody, and it makes your ferments taste really, really good. So you guys can see here, we do have some things going on. These over here are actually quite a bit bigger. I'm gonna step in here. Oh yes, you can already see that one coming up. So these are all doing really well. They'll probably be ready in another week or so. And then what we'll do is the tops we will take and feed to the chickens and the pigs, and then just use the bottom. So really nothing on the radish is going to waste. And there are my little carrots that need to be thinned out. So overall, most of the things I planted from a couple weeks ago are doing well. I've got beets that are starting to pop up. I had ragjack kale that I planted that was coming up. We've got some onions that were dormant from when Jess planted them that are coming up that I'm leaving because I think that's kind of cool. The beans are all starting to come up. We've got all the brassica sown in the tunnel. All of my broccoli starts got eaten. Thankfully, our local co-op said that they could order me some more. So that's what I'm gonna do. I just did not get to them in enough time. I'm pretty sure when I bought them, they were already, you know, invaded by the caterpillars, and I just brought that home with me. So I just didn't catch it in enough time, and now my starts aren't worth anything to be able to plant. Like most of their true leaves have just been completely demolished. It's one of those things that it stinks, but I'm not gonna let it get me discouraged, because stuff like this happens, and I think that that's part of it. And I honestly think too that how you handle those situations says a lot, because I could let that one little tray of broccoli just get me down, or I could be like, well, you know what, I'm just gonna plant broccoli later. I'm still gonna have broccoli, maybe not as much as I wanted, but I overplanted cabbage, so that's okay. You just kind of use it as a learning experience. I'll be honest though, this is the first time that I have had my starts attacked like that, like just having bought them from a nursery and coming home. So I really wasn't expecting that. I don't think I was ready to fight that battle quite yet, but it's okay. I'm not gonna let it worry me. I'm gonna drink my coffee, I'm gonna enjoy this beautiful weather, and we're gonna go feed some piggies. Alright, so first up on the feeding train, we have a routine. Usually Nathan and I will tag team. So That is the beautiful thing about marriage and working on a farm with your spouse. Nathan does have another job. However, he has got, you know, lots of flexibility. And so we kind of just like tag team chores and taking kids to school. So the days that I take the kids to school, Nathan gets all the animals fed. And then the days that he takes the kids to school, I get all the animals fed. And we do rotate those jobs because sometimes I like to get out here and shoot videos in the morning. And if I take the kids to school and I come back, either it's too bright out here or I've got something else lined up for the day, or sometimes the kids just want daddy to drop them off, you know. And so we do have this lovely thing where we just get to each do that and share responsibilities. Even though the animals are Nathan's thing per se, like he spends more time with the animals, I spend more time in the garden. He does love spending time in the garden, and I do love spending time with the animals. I'm not near as hands-on, but I do go in there every single day and feed them. But I'm not, you know, sitting down there watching them for hours. Like I'm probably in here like stalking my plants, like, oh, has that seed come up yet? Like, oh, what's going on here? But I do like to share that responsibility with him, just like he likes to share the garden responsibility with me. We don't like to put that on each other solely, and so we just tag team it. Good morning. Good morning. So we have been getting a ton of eggs. Our chickens quit laying when we moved, just because the transition, which is pretty typical. But we've been getting every single one of our... Oh, Simba's trying to get Tito. You leave that kitty cat alone. But every single laying hen that we have is laying eggs. Check this one out. Isn't that a beautiful green? I was just talking the other day about wanting some blue egg layers, and one of ours lays a really pretty blue. We only have one blue layer, but it was really pretty. And we are officially overrun with eggs, which tells me that it is time to start using them more, maybe start baking. I know I don't cook a whole lot, but I do cook more this time of year because crock pot dishes and casseroles, those are the things that I'm more familiar with. So I've been making a lot of new things. You guys would be really proud of me. And I'm also getting back on my sourdough train. I take a break in the summertime. And I also took a break because I was eating so much that I had a little bit of a gluten allergy. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. And so I had to break because literally I would be eating bread and butter for breakfast, like, and then for lunch, and then I'd sneak some in for dinner. And it was just like, sourdough is so good, y'all. So I had to take a break, but it's this time of year again where all I want to do is bake bread and be inside and make all the things. Like this time of year makes me so happy. So I'm going to be feeding my starter this afternoon, and we're going to have some lovely sourdough bread in the future, and I'm so excited. I know Nathan's excited too. He actually really likes when I make sourdough. The kids really like it. Something I want to experiment more with too this time is I would make just the same one, right? I would make the same recipe. I did make a rosemary, like a Tuscan herb and rosemary. Are you sad I'm leaving? And so this time I want to make, like, you know, a cranberry and stuff for the kids and just kind of experiment and play around with that a little more. All right, piggies, here we come. Look at that beautiful sun peeking over the farm. The pigs have become super friendly. So when we first got them, I don't know if you guys remember like that first video we did, which granted they had just been moved to a new place, so that was expected. But even for several days, they were just really, really standoffish. Now they come and they meet us and they run to the very front of the pen to get fed every morning. It's the sweetest thing. They'll let the kids scratch their heads, and so we've just been trying to work with them a lot. They're growing a lot. They eat a lot. But the kids ask every single day to come see the piggies, and so it's been really sweet seeing them take care of them as well. Hey, piggies. Hey, piggy. Uh-oh, watch out. Get back. Y'all sure are some loud eaters. Are you a loud eater? So that may totally like gross some of you guys out, but literally the pigs are my favorite thing. I feed them in the mornings when it's my mornings to feed them, and I just sit there and I listen to them smack, and my smile gets bigger and bigger because I'm like, oh gosh, y'all are the sloppiest, cutest stinking things. So the pigs are doing great. Nathan absolutely loves them. We're actually getting another one. Binturns bringing out another one. Nathan has kind of fallen in love with this whole pig situation. And he has spent so much time. It's been so sweet to see. But there are the piggies. Next up, we got the goats. Bye, piggies. Enjoy your breakfast. So all of the goat feed and hay is in this little greenhouse on the hill. This was Jess's first greenhouse that Maya kind of rebuilt and reconfigured. It is actually one of the first places that I met Jessica. I came and bought starts from her out of this little greenhouse. Has a lot of fond memories. I learned so much from her out of this greenhouse, and I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love this greenhouse. It is just this cute little quaint. We got like the lights hanging. There's actually like this kind of desk that's built underneath here. Right now it is storage, which is what they used it for. So my plan with this shed, this little greenhouse, I think I've told you guys, is to use it as a drying shed. So it'll be a nice place to come and work. I will kind of set it up to where I can come out here and could like journal if I needed to, or just kind of spark some creativity. I like to have those creative spaces I can go to and just like really kind of rejuvenate and become inspired and become creative. And this is one of those spaces that when I think about it, I immediately think, oh, this could be that space for me. So I'm excited. This will probably be a winter project to get it all cleaned out. Whenever Binturn moves his goats, this is all his hay and his goat supplies, he will take all this with him, and then I'll kind of dive in. It's obviously not like a hurry on getting this done because I don't actually need it right now, but I can just envision all of these flowers drying up here and then hanging from the ceiling and just having my little chair, my cup of coffee. It kind of sets a mood, and I'm about that. Alright, let me grab some hay. Now, the goats are pushy, and anybody that has goats realizes that. So taking the camera in there with me to feed them just isn't going to happen. I kind of beeline through the gate and try to make it to the trough as fast as I can before I get trampled by the goats. Alright guys, and just like that, my morning chores are done. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this lovely first day of fall with this absolutely spectacular weather. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.